There's this cute saying, there's no passengers on planet Earth. We're all crew members. And that should give us an idea of where this talk is going. It's being responsible for this spaceship that we're on, and that we as sapiens have been disrespecting this incredible opportunity we have. We're totally asleep to the fact that we're on this ball hurtling through space. And in Apollo, when the Apollo landed on the moon over 50 years ago, we got a chance to see this ball from outer space. And it was amazing. You probably all remember that time. And it struck me as that there's no plan B. As Jason was saying, there's no plan B. We're out here and we're making a mess in our bedroom. And it's no wonder that in 1970, that was the beginning, that was the first Earth Day. 56 years ago. Yay! Enough of us had enough, and 20 million people showed up to say, enough. There needs to be a reverence. There needs to be something, a new consciousness, a new understanding. And of course that was relevant at the time. We were in the middle of a war, like we are now. And we had just seen the Earth from outer space. Yay! We also had DDT that was poisoning our lands. We had the fluorocarbons that were punching a hole in our atmosphere. We had asbestos. We had lead in gasoline. We had lead in paint. We were literally poisoning our bedroom. And it wasn't but months later that the EPA was formed. Wow, now that's a shift. But there was enough protesters from the Vietnam War that were taking this on as something that we could all do collectively. And it's most important right now, today. So where is our reverence for the earth? How are we acting? How am I acting? Am I doing everything I can? I'm doing a lot, but not everything. And we know where we can do better. In what we purchase, the packaging, the resources that we use. We can do better. The biggest consciousness shift is going to happen when we move as a whole collective from ownership to stewardship. And if you think about that, we're in an ownership mentality. This is mine. And and as little kids, it's always about me and mine. And as adults, we continue that childlike behavior, and we haven't grown up and matured enough to realize that we have to share the resources and equitably, not just for profit, not just for the few, not just for me first, the United States. No, the whole world. And that is being thwarted by religions, by corporations, and by the mentality, the cultural mentality that says, oh, we got to keep having kids. We got to keep growing our national product. We have to expand. We have to do more. We have to consume. Really? Really, is that true? In 1970, that was the tipping point where we crossed over into unsustainability. There was 4 billion people on the planet. 4. And in 56 years, we have doubled the amount of carbon that we're putting in the air. I mean, in terms of the amount of people putting carbon into the air. In 1970, that was the edge of what the Earth could absorb, what we throw into the atmosphere. After 1970, we're at a loss. The earth cannot sustain this amount of people and maintain a balance and equilibrium. And that's the truth that no one wants to hear. It's a population problem. You can't have 8 billion people consuming the way we're consuming right now. It's impossible to maintain this. And we're not maintaining it. We're in a deficit. And that's very uncomfortable. And what that points to is a population decline. Actually having fewer children per person, or being per woman. So looking at that, what's it going to take collectively for us to make it okay for women not to bear children? That it's okay, it's acceptable, that grandma doesn't need to have more grandchildren and to pressure her children to have children. What's it going to take for us to collectively look at what's our responsibility to maintaining the equilibrium of the planet? Not just for humans, but for all species.
Yes.
We don't own this earth. Now, on the bright side, people are waking up. And our birth rate in 1970 per woman was 4.6 children. 4.6 children worldwide per woman in 1970. Wow, that's how we got here. So now, in where we are today, our birth rate per woman now is down to 2.3. That's fantastic. Still not enough. We're going to have to actually go beyond that to start reducing. But the trajectory looks good. And so that's the hopeful note. When you love something and appreciate something, how do you treat it?
With love.
With love, with respect. It's not an ownership thing. It's not even a stewardship thing. It's a reverence. And so that's what we're actually being called to do, is to not only be good stewards, but be going beyond stewardship into actually a love and a reverence and a respect.
Yes.
That's what we're called to do. And it's really hard to do that if I don't love and honor myself, because it comes from here first. And notice where I'm pointing. It doesn't come from here. You know, I'm going to love and respect the planet from here. No, it comes from somewhere within us. I remember the first time that I was driving across in my early 20s across Nevada, and I came across the top of this mountain, and I looked over the side in this car, in my little old car, and I looked down, and the road went straight down and across the valley and up the other side, and it was perfectly straight, and it was over 30 miles. And I pulled over, and I stopped, and I looked, and I went, I'm looking at the Earth's crust. And it hit me. I'm looking at the Earth's crust, and I'm driving across it. And I can see the valleys and the ripples and the crinkles in it, and I can also see from here all the way across the horizon, I can see the curve on the ball that I'm actually driving across. And there was nobody in the car to tell. And so it was like I was stuck with it. Right there, I'm going, this is too much. Am I the only one that's ever seen this? It just blew my mind. And I wasn't smoking anything. It was like, wow. And then I hit the Grand Canyon. And, okay, now I'm going to explore the crust. What does it look like when I walk down into the crust of the earth? What a privilege to go down through hundreds of millions of years of rock and to penetrate down into the planet. And we forget that there's a solid rock iron core surrounded by molten lava, this liquidy, gooey inside that's molten, all left over from the creation of this planet. And it's like, wow, am I the only one that gets this? Or is this really mind-blowing? And so, feeling that and then camping out at the bottom, and I've been to the bottom of the canyon 5 times. And the reason why I choose the canyon, because you can't just go down and back. You've got to live down in it. You've got to sleep in it. And you've got to feel your poor feet and how tortured they are, and your aching muscles, and you get to feel the whole experience, and that's part of it. To see that, look at what nature does, all by itself. It carves through and gives us an opportunity to look at the mother from the inside. And it all happens all by itself. Nature is amazing. I've been reading some Emerson here. And Emerson was a naturalist, along with a surveyor and a poet and philosopher and so on. And he admired John Muir. And so they went out to Yosemite and they palled around out there looking at the awesomeness of nature. And Muir was in love with Yosemite. And Emerson said, there's more than Yosemite. You can find this beauty everywhere. Everywhere. And so let me read something here from the invariable mark of wisdom is to see the miraculous in the common. Yes. We rediscover the magic of the world when we stop and pay attention to our experience without distraction. Let me read that second part. We rediscover the magic of the world when we stop, when we actually stop and pay attention to our experience. What's happening right now? What are we feeling right now? Without any distractions. So that when we stop and we actually tune in to what's alive and moving within us, when we feel the wind on our face, the roar of the river, the buzz of the insects, when we have all that, when we feel that, and we're not thinking about what's for lunch or whatever else is, when am I going to go home and get back to my Wi-Fi, or when we actually are present. And this is about presence more than anything else.
Yes.
It's when we stop the distractions and we allow ourselves to go and pass through boredom into curiosity. This is a huge, huge jump. And this is what's going to, in a sense, save humanity. If enough of us can wake up and point to the fact that there's more going on than we think. If we were to drop from thinking into feeling, what are we feeling that's going on? Can we feel Lisa's song? Can we feel the rotation of the earth? As we watch a sunset, the sun isn't setting, the earth is turning. The earth is turning away from the sun. As we wave goodbye to the sun, our earth is moving back. And when I watch a sunset, it's not a sunset, it's an earth turning. It reminds me every time I see the sun disappear that the earth is spinning, that we're on a spinning ball. Yes. And that keeps me, that keeps the reverence close, because I have that opportunity for sunrise and sunset, is to take a look at really what's going on. The animals don't have a problem. Humans have the problem. We have the problem with trying to own the earth, trying to control it, trying to make our lives more comfortable. We've gone way beyond that, into absolute excess. What if we were to return more to a wild nature that is in tune with what's actually happening? We all possess this wild nature. We had it when we were kids. Yes. And our parents said, "Stop that. You're tearing up the furniture. You're jumping around. You're doing this and that." And sometimes we forget that our pets are wild. Mm-hmm. And that we have sort of told them to keep it down. Keep it down. Don't really be a dog or a cat. But what if we were to become more wild, more curious? What if we were to take a look? What if we were to walk out into the woods by ourselves with no destination and to wander, like Emerson and Muir did for days on end, just wandered around? They say scientifically, if you spend 3 days in wilderness, you will not come back the same. That it takes about 3 days to slow down, to wind down, to actually start to become in tune. I ride my bicycle up, and I have a mountain bike. I ride it up in the Oakland Hills, in the Redwoods. I try to do it at least once a week, but hopefully twice. And every time I go up there, I come back different. And I can't explain what the difference is, except it's different. And I think it happens when I stop and need to relieve myself. And I put the bicycle down and I stand, and it's usually a beautiful spot I pick, and I look out. And as I look out, I'm no longer focused on the trail and getting to a destination. I'm actually stopped. And in that stopping, there really is no distraction. And for the first time, I really hear the wind. Yes, I've been riding the bicycle, and it's been beautiful, and I've been going through all of this, but there was distractions. I had to pay attention. Now I don't. Now my awareness is wide open, and there's a presence that drops in as I'm just watching a bodily function happening, looking out at this landscape and realizing I am inseparable from my environment. I am inseparable from this. And perhaps that's the best part of the whole trip, is breaking the trance and to realize how fortunate I am to be on this planet and to see beauty. I was in Africa bouncing along in the back of a Land Rover with my head out of the sunroof, holding on and just, yay, like a little kid, looking at wildebeest over here, Cape buffalo over here, zebra over here, elephants there, and separated by miles between them. And there was enough space for everybody. And when I looked at it, I said to myself, it's all nature. Only man doesn't get that he's a part of nature too. And I looked at the animals and I said, the zebra are no more nature than any of the other animals, or than the grass, or the clouds, or the insects. It's all nature. I am nature. I went, okay, that's why I came here. I discovered that. Mm-hmm. You don't have to fly all those miles to discover. We are nature, and we don't get it. We are inseparable from this environment. It's easy to say, but when it penetrates and you feel something in your heart, you go, oh, okay. I can no longer act the way I am acting. I can no longer make the same choices. And that's really what this talk is about, is moving from ownership to stewardship, and to wake up to our responsibility to the mother, to this which we have been born out of. We've all come, everything has come from this planet, which came from outer space in the form of stardust. So it's all a continuation and it's all a flow, if we're awake to it. There's miracles around us. The question is, are we going to leave this miracle for our future, for future generations, or are we going to squander the resources that we have before us right now? Mm-hmm. And that will remain to be seen. So in closing, I want to say there is this song by the Everett Brothers, and there's the last part of it that I keep fresh. And I've used it before, but I'm going to use it again. And it goes, if I live the life I've been given, I won't be scared to die. If I actually live the life that I'm given, I won't be scared to die. We've all been given this life. We don't need to control it because it's already been given. We need to make wise, informed, kind decisions on how we're going to live this. And it's ours to live. So with that, I'm going to end with this affirmation. Today, I shift my consciousness from being an owner to a steward of Earth. I vow to do my part to carefully manage all resources, enhancing their value for future generations. Blessed be, and so it is.